Welcome back everybody to the analyst task. We had T1 versus Gen.G game number 1, and Gen.G walked away with a game 1 victory. So close to getting their revenge. Gen.G took Karma. T1 took a Karma in a very early phase of the draft, and Gen.G answered it with Ezreal. It was really interesting to see Ezreal in a very early phase of the draft, but watching the game, it was totally understandable. Ashe is really good at prioritizing the laning phase and snowballing with the pressure. But T1, on the Jax pick in the jungle, they were looking for a very late game power spike. So Gen.G figured out that maybe the early game pick, Ashe wouldn't be a superior pick here up against T1, so they took Ezreal as an answer to T1's comp. Gen.G definitely went through a lot of preps and they got the ideal composition to face T1. Orianna has a very hard matchup up against Akali because he was having a very strong laning phase. And Jax didn't really seem relevant in this game. He was not showing any of the power spike all throughout the game. Let's take a look at this dragon fight over here. Gen.G had to be really cautious using their teamfight engage skill onto Kalista. We also want to point out the item build from Ezreal. A lot of players actually rushed to the Muramana to hit the Muramana stage really fast, but Ruler this time around, he went for the Iceborne Gauntlet first. So he didn't really have the power spike in this fight. Orianna had to use his ultimate in order to secure the dragon, and also Rascal failed to find any target with his ultimate, so T1 was able to get a win with this teamfight. T1 was really smart, utilizing their power spike in this phase of the game, so the game was up in the air at this point. And it also seemed like T1 was having the control with this game, a teamfight win. However, we had a huge turnaround fight with Ezreal and Orianna. Whenever Jax comes in, a lot of players actually get flustered, but BDD was so clean and calm, utilizing his ultimate. And with this chain CC, Jax couldn't utilize and take off his flash. Ezreal was able to get extra gold with that bounty. And Faker was looking for a kill onto Ruler, but this weird flash ult, or maybe ult flash combo, went wide. Ezreal was staying untacked all throughout the game, so there was no stop with his scaling. Jax was having a successful bait play over here, but Ezreal came back with TP with his Iceborne Gauntlet. T1 was not trying to run away from this fight. However, there was no angle for Ezreal to bite the dust in that fight. Ruler was really cool-headed in such a massive team fight, and that was the key point that enabled Gen.G to win that fight and secure the dragon as well. And with that win, Ezreal was kept farming, scaling, and getting stronger all throughout the game. It's time to check out the player of the game. It's gonna be Ruler and Ezreal. Pawn says that Ruler has been really small up against T1, but this time around Ruler overcame his obstacle and came out really strong. Ruler proved himself with this Ezreal pick, coming in a very early phase of the pick and ban. If Ezreal died once in this game, T1 could have opened the window to reach out to Gen.G's lead, but with all the defensive skill and ability on the side of Gen.G, Ruler was so intact. And also with his smart itemization, Kali and Rakan was not having the lane priority that they were looking for. Almost a unanimous vote for Ruler on Ezreal pick. BDD also got a POG vote because he was also doing a lot of contribution in the backline as Orianna and controlling the whole team fight. We are having the biggest hype of this week, so let's move on to game number 2, T1 versus Gen.G.
Thank you so much, G-Sun, for the analyst desk translation, and welcome back to the commentator's desk for Game 2 between Gen.G and T1. Gen.G will now move over to the blue side, and we'll see whether T1 can utilize counterpick in order to make this one work. They had a draft where they tried to hold on to some flex picks, and then they got Nico'd in the end, and I guess that's what led it all to crash down.
Yeah.
That being said, there were a lot of other question marks, and I feel like the main answer that we got here is that it's Gen.G cleared today, and he has really, at least started performing better against T1 when he hasn't really in the past, alongside Ruler, who always needs to get that monkey off his back, to be honest. T1 just seems to mental block both of these players, but both Clid and Ruler coming out strong here in game number 1. See whether that can be said for game number 2, as Gen.G have a 1-game buffer. But often, if you win game 2, winning game 3 becomes a bit easier. So T1 might be able to just take this the distance and seal away the win. Set going to be banned on blue side yet again. The ban priority on this champion is still quite baffling, as Karma is banned, so we're not going to have to deal with that again.
I really want to see T1 have a better draft this time around. I think that game 1 kind of feeds into some of our doubt as to, why T1 are doing some of the things and losing some of the games that they are.
Yeah.
The Karma ban, that's a good start. The Volibear, it seems like Clid is really confident on that pick right now. I don't mind it too much. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, can you really ban Zoe this time around? Are they just going to give that over to BDD? It's not so easy to play up against this Zoe, as we have seen many times.
Varus going to be the ban choice here, was left entirely through the draft last time around, as that's the Twisted Fate. So that's sort of the last must ban taken out of the way. So Ezreal, a possible first pick here. Kalista is still up, so T1 would still be able to have a decent laning phase into it. Jungle choices also, but Zoe is up and ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I would have liked Zoe or Ezreal more. But yeah. Gen.G seem really confident as Ruler gets the high 5 as he picks up Kalista here, which is quite interesting. I mean, Teddy's a great Ezreal player on top of it. I think that's a pretty good answer already to the Kalista, which generally denotes that you're going to go for a more aggressive team alongside of a pretty aggressive bottom lane that Kalista naturally brings in. And Olaf is going to be banned here.
Sorry, picked.
Yes, picked.
Yep. I thought that Ezreal Zoe would have been a pretty fantastic lock-in here for T1, but Olaf Ezreal will take 50% of a good choice over 0. So Ezreal will be taken away. Didn't really need to be locked in right there, because of course, not likely to go into a solo lane.
Clid is given a lot of nods. He's one of our premier Lee Sin players. We see it very often into the Olaf. We're going to have to wait and see because Zoe seemed pretty obvious here for BDD. If it's left available, I think he'll always play it. It is 20-9 right now. The 69% win rate is doing very well in LCK Summer.
And BDD, a fantastic Zoe player, and that is the Lee Sin that was banned in game number 1. So Gen.G, definitely a higher octane draft so far, but the mid game should be very, very, very scary for T1. You pair all 3 of these together, and you get a pretty frustrating combo, as this could be Faker's Nico, and he is going to take that one away. So, not sure. It could still be flexed up to Canna, but Faker is probably the best Nico player that I've seen on the Rift.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the flexibility of it does give some doubt to Gen.G. They can't just say, okay, it's definitely going mid. We'll have to wait and see where they do go with this one. I think for T1, you want to take away some supports that do very well with the Kalista. Taric is going to be first. And here, Tahm Kench with Ezreal is a very deadly duo, as we saw in game number 1. So they're going to deny that away from T1. Will they target effort again?
Maybe don't have to quite as much because, you know, Tahm Kench is also decent with the Kalista also. But they might decide to get rid of something else.
Maybe like a cannon or something. You might be losing a lot of potential. Well, T1's going to ban the cannon, so cannon might have the highest second phase ban ratio in the LCK. I see it banned here all the time.
Yeah.
Wukong still on the board, could be a consideration. There it is, banned away.
You are
I'm on fire here in the second one, man.
A lot.
The Zoe Lee Sin and all the bans coming in. Nautilus, yeah. Nautilus here, you're taking it away from Kalista. Nautilus lane 2, so it's a denial and a pick. Offers you some hard engage where you're already lacking it a little bit for your comp, so I don't mind it.
The classic Leona Lee Sin. As that's exactly what Gen.G are going to take away, continuing on their trend of early game, and then they go all the way out the window, and the Ornn is going to be locked in here for Rascal. His most played so far this season, 5 games, is R5 Renekton. I hope you guys welcome back. Welcome back from the LS co-stream. I assume he's left, because I highly doubt he's going to stick around with
R5 Renekton.
The old. This is the dream.
Pog? Oh,
never mind.
Okay, I mean, it's still
better than Renekton.
Much better. I had to get that many muches out there.
That's much.
It's a lot of muches, and it's good. I mean, you can begin to put on a lot of pressure in the side lane now. I really like Camille nowadays. You can isolate some of those really kind of annoying to lock down champions, such as Zoe Kalista, if you do end up being forced into a team fight. It's really good with the Nico and the Olaf. I think there's a lot of synergy in the comp. It's so much better. Like, it cannot be overstated than R5 Renekton, who's just like the most troll pick we've ever seen in the LCK.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. It can also punish the, the tank kind of safe side lane that Gen.G wanted to play as well, with Rascal going on to Ornn.
Yep, Rascal is a pretty practiced Ornn player. Does sort of stand out alongside this very mid-game composition that Gen.G have put together for themselves, but you can understand why they do it. It's try to maximize the amount of CC that they can have and all the disruption that the Ornn can bring to a team fight. But Gen.G are going to be required to snowball this game. T1 were required to. Last time around, they're going to have a much easier time. Straight out the gate, works very well as a 4-1 composition, but like you say, Canna can go in and try and assassinate that Kalista in the hands of Ruler, and that might be their avenue for success. I don't like the Olaf at all in this composition, personally, but let's see whether Cuz can just utilize it based on the comfort that he has on the champion in order to get them across the line, and Faker's Nico has always been very impressive, so looking forward to seeing what he can do now up against BDD on this particular pick. BDD, of course, with ultimate comfort in his Zoe.
Yeah, that was one of the question marks coming into game 2, was would he be able to play this Zoe, because they did ban it in game 1. That was their first ban on blue side, actually. So T1 obviously know how good he is on the pick.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot of respect, but sometimes you got to let something through.
Yeah.
And Karma, Volibear, TF are definitely sort of like the top of the totem pole when it comes to bans necessary. And Rascal's probably our best top lane Karma. The Volibear was debuted by Clit in the jungle, and he has had, I think, only victories on the champion, as I'm going to check it out now. He's lost 1 time out of the 4 that he's played. So definitely not a bad win rate. And they banned, what was it? Yeah, Twisted Fate, and Twisted Fate's busted. So yeah, you're not going to let that one through.
It's going to be interesting to see how Faker's Nico does into the Zoe. It's not the most mobile. You do have that kind of invisibility dash, of course, but You do have to kind of play within the Zoe's ranges a little bit.
Well, Gen.G on vision. Going to be spotted out here by Teddy, who will find a Mystic shot for both bottom laners. Not really going to cause too many problems as Ruler misses 1 CS. Teddy is going to get all of them, so a huge advantage here for T1 on the bottom side. Let's go to game 3. There's Canna. He's not going to lose that one, but that's a big boop out from Rascal. He's going to start stacking up his Grasp the Undying. Canna went for Fleet Footwork instead, which is interesting. Seen a lot of Camille's take Grasp instead. But it's going to be more of that sustaining idea here for Canna in this lane. As level 2's hit by Gen.G, and T1 immediately afterwards, so no issues there, as life is going to go on walkabout, as we would say back in the homeland.
I like all the highlights on the different champions that come in for the players to show everybody how many games they've played on the champion, how excellent their win rates are, because most of these players are on winning teams for the majority of their careers and have been finding success for a long time.
Speaking of success, pretty good win rates on these champions as Shield of Daybreak comes down onto Effort. It's going to be the Q first into the Zenith Blade, which is interesting out of life. Going to win that trade, but only going to be support health bars. Need to be spoken about. Rascal pretty comfy here on the top side as we're going to have another trade. Effort going to get some sticks delivered to him. Ruler with a pretty troll skin choice, taking Bang's Callista skin.
I like it.
Yeah, very, very smooth. Sometimes it's about the mind games.
Yeah, you just dunked on the enemy team, you got player of the game in game 1, and then you come out with the the SKT. Callista is always a nice little play. You got to play the mental game. You got to throw out some emotes, too. I think those are very important.
Very important. Especially thumbs up when you're losing.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one.
Or the white flag when you're winning.
I think Sad B is my my favorite one so far. Just the Sad B. Whenever you miss a skill shot, then you Sad B. Oh my god, so good.
And we'll have to wait and see about how this game does go. Game number 1, again, was kind of a snooze fest in the beginning of the game. Both junglers here aren't really looking for ganks. They're just going for full clears.
Yep.
The lanes are just kind of chilling. Faker's a bit ahead for now, slightly, but Ruler is ahead on the side of Gen.G, down in the bottom side, very slightly.
Yep, minion waves are going to just completely reset on the bottom side of the map. And we're going to have first backs coming in. So Vampiric Scepter completed here for Ruler. And Teddy, as he gets back to base, it's going to be a tier start. So not the same idea as what Ruler had, which was rush the Sheen, try and get as much lane control as he could. Wasn't actually able to really win out in that lane, as we saw. But it's going to be a little bit easier here for Ruler to retain control as Clid puts down a control ward, spots Cuz. And they've got vision everywhere on this top side. But Cuz is going to move on over. Clid's going to have to back away. Level advantage here for the Olaf.
I like the little mind games he was doing there with this Q, just pretending he was leaving and then just a little bit of a fade away. Didn't end up, killing that Krug, but cool little idea. As Olaf, if we're just going for straight up farming, he's always going to be a bit faster than the Lee Sin. Notice the pings. The yellow pings are on the blue side. Just probably from the side of Cuz, saying that's probably the path that the Lee Sin is going to take from here on out.
Yep, Ruler a little bit further away from life here after he goes in. So not going to really be able to find anything there off the back of the Zenith Blade. Sometimes you just got to throw it out and see whether it sticks. It stuck, but really didn't mean anything. Effort and Teddy still at full health. Having a pretty good time. Ruler slightly ahead in the farm. Nothing to write home about whatsoever. As Effort and Teddy just coasting. Definitely a game where they'd be more happy to coast based on their composition. As now we're checking out the Zoe win rate. Zoe Lee Sin win rate, which is 6-1.
Wow,
currently.
Very specific. But
only loss was for Gen.G.
Yeah, and this is something that we talk about a little bit here. The mid jungle duos that do come in. Obviously, the ability for the gank setups to come in. We're just getting the word that they lost up against Damwon, I believe, with that duo, so that's the one loss.
A lot of people have lost with a lot of things against Damwon.
Yeah, but the gank setup is just really great from both sides, so I think they have a lot of power together. Klid taking a nice little chunk there. Cuz is already level 6.
Yeah,
so.
He's a big boy. It's only going to be like a camp, I think, before Klid is going to hit level 6 for himself. So he wants to get over to his Raptor camp, take that one down as quickly as possible. As we've got Cuz just getting rid of this control ward. It's the Shield of Daybreak, actually, as Ruler up against this wall. Exhaust comes in. Cuz has to vacate the area. That's a lot of poke damage onto Ruler as he backs away. And now, Klid does have that level 6. Now can come over and try and contest. As you can see, the mid lane, Faker frantically trying to push this one in. You can see all the chess pieces falling into place, but T1 looks like they're not wanting to try and fight over this one just yet. And I thought that maybe it could have been an opportunity with how much damage was dealt to Ruler there, but just eats through his potions, utilizes the Vampiric Scepter, and he's going to be back up to relatively high health pretty quickly. As level 6 gained by Ruler, life can be so much more aggressive now. Oh, and Cuz is going to be spotted here on the top side, I think, by Rascal. Puts the ward in, and that's actually a big trade. But this is a scary Olaf. Rascal may actually have to flash here. Does. Blast Cone going to be utilized, so Lee Sin deciding that he'll go home at that moment. Interesting. Zenith played very close to putting life right underneath that turret.
Neither side was confident enough to just run at the dragon. Now that Rascal had to flash away, you can see that T1 are setting up for this, but it's a 3-on-2 for now.
Yep, Ornhorn comes in. It's going to be a big knock-up. Ragnarok, remember, is on cooldown, and Cuz just going to be eliminated. First blood goes to BDD. Kick back. Pop Blossom was about everywhere as Faker's going to be able to grab the kill onto the Ornn, but in goes BDD. That's the double. That is why you ban this champion from this mid laner, by the way, as Faker, he's not going to be tricking Klid this time. Remember, they played next to each other for a very long time. And that is going to be 3-1 in favor of Gen.G and a much earlier first blood than game 1.
Yeah, oh man, this is just out of control now. Gen.G gets such a massive advantage from that. They pick up the 3-1 and also the Rift Herald here very early on. Olaf might just try to run at the Drake, but he's on vision now.
There's the Fate's call. Effort taking a lot of damage. Depth charge. Doing some work here, but the Ignite's ticking down. Oh my goodness. Aftershock, still such a good ability. The Flash was held onto here by Effort, able to dredge line his way out and cleared. Nice little smite there as Cuz just walks on over, tries to offer an axe to the situation, and isn't going to get any joy.
Losing a lot of time doing that too. He's not going to farm his camps. I think he could have just assumed that that one was going to go the way of Gen.G, maybe even just try to run at that dragon, but that was also taken away because Effort kind of just got caught there. There was a lot of priority in the bot side for Gen.G, so maybe they would have been able to rotate over to the dragon. But we're going to take another look at this, and they say, well, Rascal's low. Maybe we can just do it, but he takes so much damage from the swipe from the Rift Herald, Cuz does. And then, of course, the perfect kick from Klid denies the damage onto Rascal, most importantly. He's able to lock up Kana, and everything kind of snowballs, and that max range Q from BDD with his own flash, able to pick up the kill. The guy is just unbelievably good on Zoe. And the coaches don't even overreact. They're like, yeah, I mean, you gave us Zoe, right? Like,
you're not out of the woods yet, Gen.G, so I like that they're not overreacting. It's only 1,000 gold. As the dust settles, this Infernal Drake has been up for a really long time. As Effort's checking out the river. It's down a ward there, pretending to be a Rift Scuttler, and it looks like Klid's just going to hop his way over, try and grab this Infernal Drake BDD with some lane control. He's going to be able to move on in there as well, as Rascal actually having a good time at this point. Of course, the Ornn does have early advantage, as Cloud Drake once again going to be the second here. As Gen.G do lock down the Infernal. So, able to utilize that early advantage that they picked up, and I'm just interested to see whether Gen.G can continue to find success or whether T1 will be able to stabilize, because this is do or die against a team that T1 have been able to deal with for 2 years.
Yeah. But this time around, Gen.G are in a really good spot. BDD gonna miss on that one.
Yep, that bubble going a little bit wide is that's a Ragnarok out from Cuz. He's not going to be able to use that for the next little while as Gen.G find him in his own jungle. Clid finding a Q there under effort also.
Yeah, you can see how much pressure they can put on now with the lead that they have. I mean, Zoe's going to have such a fun time in the lane. The jungle is going to be ahead here for Gen.G. So they get the flash out of Cuz, and he's not having a fun time on this Olaf. We all know how Olaf does from behind. Not very well. There's a lot more running away rather than running at the enemy team, which is where he finds his power.
Rascal has the best score because he's 100% kill contribution for both teams. Sitting at 0, 1, and 3. Participating even in all of what T1's been doing. Nice. See whether he can keep that up as this game continues. Of course.
Oh boy.
Oh no. Faker.
Close.
Off Blossom actually used. You can see just how much respect has to be given over to this 2-0-1 BDD Zoe. Because if that Paddle Star had appeared like he was dead, he needed to utilize the shield. Boy, scary stuff.
If maybe he waited like half a second more to throw out the Paddle Star, he might have been able to perfectly time it.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, it's still a great win because they're able to push the Nico out of the lane, get more pressure done there. He gets a good back on him. Unfortunately, he doesn't pick up the Ludens just yet, so he goes back, maybe picks up the Rod, and we'll just go from there. Going to use the good back timing at least.
Yep, and Shelly is going to hop up into this mid lane. Should be some plates picked up here for Gen.G. And Clid's just going to vacate. He knows that he's going to be able to get that plate gold for himself and gives the rest of it over to BDD. He was in position at the right time as Faker. Not going to take too much damage there. Portal jump from BDD, not going to be enough. As now, we might be able to get this demolished proc for Rascal, and he does. He's only got another 10 seconds to go, but he's still going to get some plates here. As Rascal picked up the turret aggro, now he's trapped. As there's the Ornhorn, wants to go back as Cuz. Yep, he's got Ragnarok, but ooh, tags him there. Cleared in position, good sidestep from Rascal. He's a chunky boy, his old Orn, but still just hiding in that that wall. It's pretty effective.
Yeah, and you can see it's pretty rough. Like, the only time that the Camille is able to get damage early on in the game against Orn is if you ultimatum him under turret. The Camille is going to need probably another item to start doing really effective damage, but the Trinity Force is definitely a good start. Sunfire keeping a lot of health, picked up alongside the Ninja Tabby is going to make him really difficult to punch through, of course, so we won't see much split push domination from the Camille for quite a while here.
Yep. The Tiamat not being completed early from Canna as well is a little bit confusing because you do want to be able to wave clear against the Orn, who just has so much of that wave control. And so Canna just making sure that he gets to as much power as early as possible for potential team fights. I mean, you can understand why he wants to be able to, single out Ruler, but doesn't really help his laning phase. As we do have jungle items coming in for both of our junglers. Clid with his Mercury Treads as well. Ninja Tabi selected here by Cuz. Doesn't quite have his Kindle Gem available just yet that Clid's put together. The Warrior versus Cinderhawk, pretty understandable stuff here in this matchup. And Blade of the Ruin King is done for Ruler. Having a look down the line, Ruler is still quite a few CS ahead. This Canna not going to get knocked up. Gets himself the magic damage shield. Now, Clid's running. Oh, he's booking it. Try and find Canna here as Cuz. He's going to show up as well. Rascal needs to move on down, but BDD's here as well. Paddle Star, a lot of damage onto the Olaf. And man, I mean, this is the fear that we had for the Olaf, right? Like, what is he supposed to do? He just seems to be running in, taking a bunch of damage and running away.
Yeah, he was at least able to get the jump onto the Lee Sin, so it looked a little bit better, as Clid did look a little bit off guard, but BDD was right there to eventually help him out, so didn't matter too much. Faker was busy going back and trying to push the lane and maybe try to get some priority around the Cloud Drake that is up here. I feel like Mountain is going to be pretty strong for both sides. I feel like a lot of people already are building a lot of resistances, but we'll have to wait and see which one does spawn. T1 are going to try to use this moment to get some priority onto the Drake.
A bit scared, though, in their play, as you can see. Cuz in position. Fake Cuz moving back towards the mid lane that is just going to be taken down.
Fake Cuz.
Yep. As our Faker well and truly a Faker here in this game. Shirley going to move towards the inner turret now, and this is all about creating control. As, yeah, Cuz doesn't have Ragnarok, by the way, guys. Solar Flare comes in. That's the kickback. Faker trying to answer it here as Portal Jump from BDD. Dodges out of the way of the Pop Blossom. The Olaf is taken. The bubble lands onto Faker. Shirley charges forward. And T1 are going to be able to make it out alive, at least for Faker and Effort. But it looks like the Dragon's not going to be so lucky.
I think that was a little mistake, actually, from BDD throughout the GLP that he picked up and broke the sleep from the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. I think he had Faker lined up. Faker didn't even flash away after getting slept, but got woken up, thankfully. Not that BDD needs any more farm at this point. I mean, it's 2-0-2.
Yeah.
So at least he's got that going for him. And Gen.G once again kind of running away with this game, even a bit earlier than game number 1. Do you see that Kana is slowly getting some power up against this Ornn and beginning to win some more trades, so Rascal is going to back off for now.
Rascal does have the Bramble Vest now completed as he misses out on a cannon creep just here. But you're right. Kana at least able to have some spare time with that outer turret. Faker now with his Super Soaker complete, looking for his Zhonyas. As many on-use items as possible, please, seems to be the thing, as we're going to locate the Olaf and that portal jump, guys. It's just really plain stuff.
Now, watch this. He sleeps him and then he wakes him up with GLP.
Yeah, weird.
I think that probably Effort would have stepped out farther to block the Paddle Star anyway on the second watch, but at the end of the day, BDD wasn't really able to get much effective damage after that.
Barrier picked up here by BDD, and Faker taking way too much damage here. Pop Blossom going to be utilized. There's the Paddle Star. Faker, more sparkles. There's the last auto, and BDD gets the solo kill. Avoids Kana here as well, as finally the ultimatum comes in. BDD eventually will fall down, as I think an Olaf died in there somewhere, not entirely sure, as Kana gets a great stun, but Clid seems not worried at all. Ruler's going to move on over and picks up the kill here from the top laner, and I think, guys, it's looking like all she wrote.
BDD beginning to flex a little bit, says, I am going to win this mid lane matchup hard. I'm not even going to take a little step back and, you know, just play it safe with my lead that I got going on here, as we do have more action now.
Yep, Teddy, it's going to have to flash over. Q not going to be followed there by Clid. Holds on to the Lee Syndrome just for the moment. Now Rascal pushing on forward. To about half, but he's a big tanky Ornn. It's going to be fine. Has level 13. So his Forge Fire Cape is completed. Just needs to put together that Abyssal Mask. And then he's going to have those doubles that he was looking for. Want to get to the next level, though, as we're going to watch BDD's perspective one more time.
I'm going to go for the kill.
잡았어!
Got him.
천천히 봐줄래? 수면?
Watch me, watch me.
둘 다! 제발!
Get them both, please. I
야,
say
이 빠졌다, 이
that.
빠졌다!
You guys got him.
나이스!
I say that a lot in solo queue whenever I try to, you know, make a play, but then I die.
Please kill him, please.
Please get him. Make it worth.
Legitimize my sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. He did give, who got that kill? I guess it was...
Was it Olaf?
Olaf.
Oh,
Because Faker was dead.
That's an absolute disaster if that happened.
Yeah, I think he got the shutdown. I don't I don't imagine it could have been Faker.
Good bellows breath there from Rascal.
Had it been Kana, I mean, that would have been a really nice swing for Kana to get more items to potentially put on pressure in the side lane. That's one of the only places where T1 have some hope right now.
I really hope Rascal is putting together a Trinity Force with the random sheen that he has. As there's the Ornn, looking for Kana, gonna get the knock up.
Oh, here comes
We have
Ruler.
a Searing Charges. Oh no, I know that's a T1 skin, but that is not a T1 player. As Ruler is just hand-delivered another kill. Buzz and Teddy. Undertow's gonna miss. Clid comes in. Q's even gonna land. No joy here for T1.
Yeah, that was I feel like Kana's feeling the pressure to really get some value in the side lane, but Ornn, he's an assassin, man. And let's see how he can get out of this one.
Yep, Faker looking to try and lock him down. Does have the Pop Blossom flash used by Rascal to get out of the way, but he's gone the wrong direction, guys.
Look at his team.
And we're looking for a Baron as T1 are going to split. Faker still looking to try and take down the Ornn. I don't know whether they're going to quite have enough here as Rascal doesn't have teleport or anything like that. Teddy going to move on over as well, the Baron. Not going down too quickly, but there's a lot of sticks that can be put into this objective as eventually the Ornn will fall. He's down for another 40. As now Cuz trying to get on in there. This is dangerous now. Teddy no teleport though, so they won't have the Ezreal for this fight. And look at all of these sticks.
45.
Just insane the amount of damage they're going to have. It did go down to 300, but there was no Olaf in the pit. As Effort's going to go golden, the Trouble Bubble not going to be collected. Flashes to try and get on top of Clid of all people as Ruler moved out of the way, and oh my god, the chain CC. As now Ruler trying to hold on to his position, not able to. Teddy's going to be able to lock him down. Clid trying to escape and does so for now. BDD at full health, the Mystic Shot doesn't land. Bubble sails by majestically. And the Baron now only on 2 members of Gen.G. And I don't know whether it was worth it.
Well, I think it is. I mean, at this point, they did kind of feed Teddy, though, who is beginning to get more and more scary. He doesn't have the Tom Kent in his back pocket, but he is going defensively building here. And they do have the Mountain Soul that is coming up. So just like that, that's a nice little swing in terms of not exactly gold for T1, but they get a lot of their gold onto a very important member alongside of a very important Drake as Effort sets this up beautifully. And Kana goes a little bit too far. He goes way into the back and you're thinking, oh, maybe he threw it, right? He goes down immediately, but then just take a look at Teddy. Arcane shifts forward, does insane amounts of damage. He knows that this is going to be his moment. Nobody's looking at him. They're all looking at the front line, the Camille that goes down, the Olaf, the Nautilus that took a ton of damage. And so he identifies that moment, and that's probably one of the reasons why Teddy is such a good AD carry, is that he knows exactly when he needs to do that damage and how to do it. So he gets the value, picks up a bunch of kills.
That's a lot of control wards. As Bubble is going to connect onto Faker, Cuz going to have to body block, but no, not over the wall as BDD. Picks up some turret aggro there as Canna's split pushing on the top side. This is definitely what T1 can do. They have split push advantage with the Camille, who will take her first turret. She's a bit behind. Still, as this game goes on, T1 are going to look better and better. Somehow the bubble lands onto Teddy. I have no idea how he even snuck that in.
BDD things.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like he cheats just a little bit, as we do still have the Barons rotating around Gen.G.
This is like crazy.
Yeah, I know.
The angles that he finds.
Is he going to get to 900 points after this game?
Yes.
I mean, I've already voted for him.
Yeah, you voted for him.
Yeah.
Although I would have done the same. So
I knew that the synergy was there. So I've just I've already sent up.
You took this moment to take the vote.
Still need Gen.G to actually win the game before it's going to be legitimate. As Faker, that's not the real one.
It doesn't even matter. Look at how much damage he took from the one auto and the ignite.
Oh my god. Well, he's back to base now. Now this inhibitor turret in the mid lane is going to get focused down. Teddy still trying to kite them out here. The Iceborne Gauntlet build is strong, especially against Ruler. And T1, I mean, they're holding it. They're holding it for now.
Yeah, the Baron buff is going to expire. We have a big TP coming in. They're trying to get Clid here.
Clid is well and truly out of position. The kickback, and Faker gets on through. He was the one that was chasing after Clid. That's a Q that's going to connect. True Shot Barrage not going to as Clid. Okay, yep, this is brother Clid for T1.
Yeah.
Over that side of the map. He did buy a lot of space for, I guess, reset time.
They used 2 TPs as well.
Yeah. And Rascal's Build-A-Bear Workshop. What is happening here? He went for the Frozen Fist instead of the Abyssal Mask upgrade, which I find perplexing. Although I guess, you know, mostly physical damage to deal with. I guess with the Camille.
Yeah, he wants to handle Camille. But yeah, at the end of the day, yes. I mean, you kill Clid, you get red buff on Teddy. But in the meanwhile, in the next 2 minutes, both teams can kind of just avoid fights. I mean, LCK is great at doing that, right? We all know that.
That's what we do. Yeah.
And Teleport's cooldown is going to last for a long time through the next Mountain Drake, through the next Baron, and they're just not going to have it. So I think they're going to lose a lot of map control, even though they do get the kill and the red buff for just a little bit. I mean, that's not really... Okay, he gets the blue buff too, right? But
Yeah.
It's all just little wins here for Teddy, who, you know, he gets a bit of extra gold too. Can't forget about that. And he really is the one hope right now for his team. So if you're a T1 fan, you better be praying to Teddy that he can carry this one.
Yep. Absolutely true. Close to 7,000 gold the lead here for Gen.G. They still need to destroy the Nexus, though, and T1, if they've done anything in the past, it's hold on. It's just whether or not that's going to be good enough here this game.
Yeah.
Gen.G, they do have a far more early game-based composition than they did in Game 1. But this is still... I mean, Zoe just morphs games like this so much.
Zoe's kind of interesting because you can say, like, yeah, I mean, 1-2 item spikes, she's pretty ridiculous and maybe falls off a little bit compared to more sustained damage dealers like an Azir or, I don't know, an Orianna. But when it's BDD and she gets fed, I think it just, her power extends into every phase of the game, you know? It's like, oh, Zoe's strong in early, mid, and late game. And in many different compositions, that was a flash by Clid, really trying to get that kick down.
Looks for it. Canna doesn't have to use his flash, though, so just hookshot to get him away. It's great news. BDD getting chunked. Teddy. Yeah, answering back nicely.
Teddy.
Top barrage also able to do some work as Rascal might need to use the ultimate just for zoning.
They're bursting it.
Yeah, this Mountain Drake going to get taken down very low. The Ren should be enough here as Rascal. Will he be able to get the knockback? No, he's not. As the Ornn is taken down. Yes, they get the Drake, but T1 now looking for the team fight. BDD still bouncing around, finds another bubble. Ruler's hopping back. So many sticks into all the members of T1. But can he actually close distance? Teddy's still huge. As another bubble connects onto Faker here, and Ruler knows that he needs to take matters into his own hands. BDD's still alive, but Teddy, every time BDD steps forward, Teddy's there with a Mystic Shard. But it looks like Gen.G will be able to get out. It's a one trade here for T1, 1 for 2. But I think that they're just going to be able to get out. Okay, Cuz, full health bar, teleport in from T1 as BDD trying to get some more work done. Cuz, that's Faker actually, who's been back to base. Oh, that was not the one that I was expecting it to be as Bubble connects onto the Olaf. BDD looks for it, but doesn't find it. Zonya's utilized here, teleport in. This fight is extending so long as Clid goes golden, and Rascal looks for Faker. Canna into the backline. BDD survives though, as Canna falls down, and Rascal gets a huge knock-up. Faker still trying to get in amongst it as there's all the knock-ups, and Faker is eventually taken down. This hyper-extended team fight will eventually go in favor of Gen.G with a triple kill from Ruler at the very end. That's the ace, and that should be base broken, at least for Gen.G.
The fiesta finally ends. So many teleports and so many kills towards the end of that one, and we got some pretty long death timers. I think they might just try to end the game. We'll have to wait and see because the fight was so broken up, but yeah, just taking a look at it, it's like 10 seconds left on Kana. They might just be able to do it here, Atlas.
Yep, 8,000 gold the lead here for Gen.G. 4 seconds on Canna, 5 on effort. I think you're right, Valdez. I don't think there's anything T1 can do. And Gen.G are even going to deny the engagement from Canna. Nexus down to 20% health. They're trying to eliminate them, as Faker not going to quite land the Pop Blossom before the Nexus goes down. And Gen.G, they couldn't do it in 2019. They haven't been able to do it in 2020 until today. 2-0 for Gen.G, looking much better against T1 that were their kryptonite for so long.
Oh, they played so well today to Gen.G. And T1, they were nearly able to carry it back there. Teddy desperately trying to carry his team. And Ezreal is so good in those weird team fights that extend to such crazy lengths. And
that's so Zoe,
TPs.
man.
So does Zoe. And even did, I mean, Rascal's TP felt like the biggest one. He zoned 3 people out. He killed 1. He allowed the team to kill whoever was assassinating the backline onto those low members of BDD. and Ruler, I believe it was, but either way, I mean, we're definitely going to have to take another look at that last team fight. And no doubt they're preparing the replay right now.
I mean, it's a lot of footage.
Yeah.
That team fight seemed to last for approximately forever. But it's just really impressive that Gen.G have been able to get this monkey off their back, man. Like, Rascal comes in with an unorthodox on pick in that scenario as well. He had his weird Build-A-Bear workshop with his frozen fist that he did give some extra priority to.
Yeah. T1, they're already off stage. We didn't get too many shots of them on the camera. No. I was very interested to see, how they were feeling. BDD drops the bottle, but he doesn't drop the ball when it comes to carrying his team. Man, you cannot give this guy Zoe. I don't know what they were thinking with that. I mean, I know there's so many things you can ban in the first 3, and you only have 3 spots, but every time I see it, I'm like, how did he get it again? He can't keep getting away with this,
You leave Bear up instead. I guess that's the only other real thing that you take away because Karma and Twisted Fate are just too good. Maybe you leave up Twisted Fate just to make sure that the Zoe doesn't go over to BDD. Yeah. Like, if you're having that conversation, you know that this guy is just pretty exceptional on the champion. And had a great outing here today. Faker couldn't quite do anything in the laning phase after those first couple of kills around the initial Herald. That was where Gen.G were just able to grab control, and they never really relinquished it. It was just some Gen.G dominance. I don't think Game 2 was really about T1 screwing up so much as Gen.G overperforming given what they had.
Yeah, I mean, the Nico pick is pretty interesting. I don't really know how to feel about that. I feel like if the game looked very differently and they were ahead, like the Nico on top of Ezreal and Olaf that are all going forward doesn't sound that bad.
Well, especially against Kalista, right? It's a great anti-Kalista tool for late-game team fights, but they didn't get to late-game team.
Once he fell behind, it was like Faker really wasn't able to do anything, and it doesn't even offer some kind of utility really to his team. Like it offers some routes, but it's very difficult to land onto Kalista, Zoe. You have the Pop Blossom for some zoning, but at this point, I mean, we're going to take a look again at the entire fight. We could just break it down, and you can tell me your thoughts as well.
I mean, remember, Rascal dies here, like, immediately.
Yeah.
And he's there for the end of the fight.
52 seconds on his jet timer, and he gets back in. And Life absorbs probably like 8,000 trillion damage in this fight, by the way. He got so much room for them to all back away. And then he just zoomed through all the, the posturing where nobody really wants to go into the fog of war. But then Cuz opens it up again, which it originally looked good for T1, right? Because they had Faker coming in.
Yep, 9 seconds now on Rascal.
And this the double root,
amazing,
right?
Faker.
Zhonya's comes in, or the stopwatch rather, for Ruler, and then Kana gets flashed away. At first I'm like, I don't know if you want to use your flash that way, but it ends up being very smart. And Rascal's TP ends up being the big game changer. He zones 3 away. Kana is able to be focused down by 3 low health members. And eventually it just turns back into Gen.G's side. There's a nice kick over the wall at the same time. And Teddy wasn't able to do it at the end. The Q onto him by Clid was massive. That's another reason, we don't see us talking to great, that we don't say a lot of good things about Lee Sin, but whenever it's Clid, we just have to change our language because he changes the way that champion is played.
He's definitely very clean, and certainly was when he first came back to Korea. It was a rough spring split for Clid on the Lee Sin, but this has been great. As we're going to check out some of the highlights here. Kick out was pretty cool to save Rascal from the stun out from Clid, but this is honestly where all of the damage went, because as soon as you get a double kill onto a Zoe who now has complete control of the lane.
Yeah. BDD got there first, by the way, which he got the first roam down. Maybe better communication, maybe Faker stayed a little bit too long trying to pick up minions. And he just seemed a lot less effective in the fight that early on the Nico compared to the Zoe. Especially when it's BDD.
It was pretty close to BDD surviving there, but thankfully for Gen.G fans, it was only the Olaf that got the kill, which is definitely not what you want. Olaf was an absolute passenger this game as well. I think a lot of people are going to be pretty quizzical about Cuz's performance so far this series. And in sort of recent times as well. It's been a little bit off, but it's been largely down to drafting and their inability to really find decisive fights. It's like they're just like their mojo's gone, you know? Like they just don't have the confidence that T1 used to have. And remember, this is the winningest team in the world. There is not a winning a team.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe it's like they lack that confidence now after struggling a little bit, and it almost feels like they're trying a little bit too hard with some of the... It's like they're trying to play 5D chess when you only have to play like 3D chess to win with the
I mean, at
players
least
that
play
you
4D
have.
chess.
Yeah,
And
you have such amazing players. I don't know if, you know, you could just try to draft standard, maybe try to look at what some other teams are doing. I think that Gen.G had a couple of really great drafts here. That's something they've always been consistent on, especially here in summer. Yeah. As we're going to listen in to the Fiesta. Slowly, slowly. From the front. Hit the front first. They're saying Camille a billion times. Yep. Slowly, slowly, slowly.
빠지면서 해. 나 가고 있어. 나 가고 있어. 앞에부터.
I'm going, you can go slowly.
맞아.
oh my god,
나이스.
Ruler was down to like 1 health.
끝났다. 피었죠. 뭐 맞아. 오른 뭐 맞아. 끝내자. 오른 뭐 맞아. 카밀 나오면. 잠깐만, 끝날 수도 있으니까 다음 거 생각하자. 들어봐, 이거 나오면은 내가 마크 할 테니까 들어오는 거 무조건 끝나. 내거 타워 칠 생각해.
When they come out, I'll stop them. So just hit the turrets.
라크레죠. 이거 타워부터 쳐. 들어오면 라인 클리어. 타워.
Take out the lane first. Take the minions first. turret.
무서울 테니까 그 날라오면 날라가죠. 날라가. 넥서스 시작. 제발 넥서스. 다행이다.
The most synchronized cheers, as you could see, like all of those players were very concerned about whether or not that Nexus was actually going to go down. See how much respect they were giving over to T1. But right now I'm looking at this damage graph and I'm seeing a BDD that got his Zoe and really did not relinquish control of this game. It was 1 tower and 1 Mountain Drake that T1 were able to pick up this game. And it feels like a real story, especially from this week. Like, well, not necessarily. They were able to take down KT in the telecom war, but in previous weeks, like, it just hasn't been much focus on being able to get these early objectives. And even against KT, KT were allowed to roam around the Rift a lot more than a lot of teams have against
There was some questionable play
T1.
in that series, too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, T1 is a much stronger team than KT.
900 points already.
Yeah.
This is like... We're only up to match 48.
We're only halfway through.
You know, like, Kuro's won MVP of the split with 900 points before. That happened.
Yeah. We've had multiple 1,000-point winners.
Yeah, right.
You know, 1,100 if it gets a little bit out of hand.
Crazy.
Yeah. Now he's going to end with like 1,600 or something ridiculous. I mean, this was the BDD show. You can't really give it to anyone else. Ruler obviously was doing Ruler things. I feel like the rest of the team had a great game as well. Gen.G really came out to play tonight, and you got to hand it to them as a team. But BDD was the obvious winner of the player of the game.
Yeah.
It was the amount that he survives here, like every little move that he makes.
It was actually so close to him being able to pick that one up as well. The safeguard came in from Clid, and it almost looked like it was going to save him. So yeah.
Even Showmaker, who's another guy that we talk incessantly about actually, how dominant he is. He's at 600.
And no, it's insane though, because the conversations that we have often are about Chovy and Showmaker being so good this season. And BDD just casually moving on up to 900 points. It's like, I'm going to leave this here. But
he always somehow falls through the conversation.
And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Gen.G always lost to T1. And the spring final is a good example of that, right? Like, I think that a lot of Gen.G fans lost a lot of faith after that final was such a blowout.
Yeah.
So maybe this is going to be able to help them out here as Ruler and BDD is standing by. So here's Ji-sun for some translation.
Congratulations on the win. It took you guys 2 years to take down T1. The last time you guys defeated T1 was 2018 Worlds qualifier. How do you feel? Ruler?
진짜 오랜만에 이겨보는 것 같은데.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long while, especially with this dual win. I'm so glad.
룰러는 진짜 2년만 아닙니까?
Yeah, for Ruler especially, it has been 2 years. Exactly.
네.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even remember winning T1.
900점까지 함께 하셨습니다.
BDD with the 900 POG points, how do you feel? Today was a must-win match for us, and I was doing such hard work, and I'm happy that I was able to secure this win.
맞아요. 오늘 경기 상대가 T1이었는데 그렇게 의식하지 않는 듯한 느낌이
And
나왔거든요.
this time around, you guys looked so confident facing up against T1. What was the mindset going into the series today?
일단 저희 지영달 감독님이랑 이제
Our head coach Odin and also coaching staff told us, do not care about the opponent, just focus on your own play.
이거에 의식하지 않고 그냥
And we all tried our best to not pay too much attention who our opponent is.
그렇게 계속해서 그 비슷한 말씀이 나왔을 텐데.
I think that could be a very standard mindset. And today was the day you guys were able to overcome this kind of mind block.
결국 그게 이제 쌓이다 보니까 오늘 이기게 된 건지 어떻습니까? 오늘
What was different coming in today?
일단 저희가 요새 유독 좀
Recently,
경기력이 더 올라오는 것도 있었고
we are in our prime form.
잘 하는 것 같아서
We are just all performing really well.
그럼 이어지는 질문이 원래
I guess everything just clicked in today.
예시, 신궁
And
룰러.
Ruler,
이게 참 오늘도 뭔가
Ash
나오지
pick
않을까
was the
싶기도
core
했는데
part
약간
of Gen.G's
있었거든요.
recent
오늘 뱀이
success.
준비하는 데 있어서 중점을 뒀던
What was the
포인트가
focal
보였습니다.
point of today's pick and ban?
약간 애쉬 같은 경우에는 언제든지
Ash
쓸수 있는
is
픽이고
always
벤티
viable.
상황에 따라서
It depends on the
칼리스타든지
situation
애쉬든지
of the pick and ban.
언제든지
Kalista,
그냥
Ash, Ezreal, everything is viable.
그런 게 없었던 것 같아요.
특별하지 않다 애쉬가 그냥.
Ash, I guess for Ruler, is one of the just on meta picks here in the LCK.
10.3%.
But an Ezreal today, you went 1203, doing more than half of your team's damage. That was massive.
제가 지표를 잘 못 봐가지고
I didn't really check the stats after that game, so I didn't know.
되게 기분 좋은 것 같아요.
Feels nice.
1203에 12킬 노데스
1203. 12 kills, no deaths, 3 assists, and 50.3% of your team's damage.
사실 우리 하나로 옆에 역할을 잘해줬기 때문에
BDD.
호흡을 이룬 건데 진짜
You also did a lot of work on Orianna during teamfights.
어땠습니까? 그세 명이
And there were.
나가는 게요. BDD.
How was the teamwork with Gen.G players in game number 1? Especially with you and support. We wanted to just go as we planned, and Ruler just managed to survive till the end of the fight.
저는 오리아나에 대해 궁금한 점이 있는데
I have a question about your Orianna.
이미지가 되게 좋은 챔피언은 아니잖아요.
Orianna is having a bit of a frame here in the LCK, but still you're going with this pick. So what's your thought on this champion? I mean, I believe Orianna is a pick when this team doesn't really have much champion to pick. Well, I've watched Rookie playing Orianna in the LPL, and unless you go really hard on this champion, Orianna is not that really meaningful. So I try to copy his playstyle.
그럼 연달아서 또 조이의 권위자 중 한 명이시잖아요.
Another mid lane pick I want to ask you about is Zoe. Zoe is a symbol of heavyweights here in the LCK. Do you think that Zoe, the champion itself, is really strong, or it is about the players, how they pilot it? When we are playing up against it, or when other teams are playing up against it, Zoe is a very irritating champion. So I think it's a really good champion. And it's time for the BDD official report card time. Last time it was 2.0 out of 10. But how was your performance today on a scale of 10? For game number 1, I was a little bit disappointing, but today we were able to take down the must-win opponent, so I'll give 5 out of 10. This kind of hard carry mode is only a 5 out of 10 for BDD. Well, looking forward to seeing more of BDD's super play. And moving on, you'll be facing up against Dynamics. in your upcoming series. We are showing a lot of good performance recently. We will keep up the hard work and keep this rolling on. We are in the uprising form and I can really feel it. And we will keep this work going and we will keep stepping up throughout the split. This will be the end of the interview with BDD Ruler from Gen.G. I'm going to pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ji-sun, for the interview translation. Great to hear that BDD's back up to a 5. Last time it was like a 1.5 or something like that out of 10. As I've got some really interesting stats for you, by the way, guys. Gen.G and DRX have exactly the same game score. Like, you count up all of the games that they've won and all the games that they've lost, they are on exactly the same score.
Yeah.
And one of them's in first place and the other one is in third. Because DRX have won the games that they needed to. And Gen.G haven't quite got there over the line against DRX themselves, in fact.
Gen.G have won a lot of 2-0s, so I suppose that does contribute to it a lot, as have Daman, obviously. And slowly but surely, unfortunately for T1, it kind of feels like we're moving more towards a top 3 here in the LCK, which is not something I thought I would say coming into summer.
Yeah.
It did look like T1 were coming in strong, but the 2-game gap that is very obvious here by the standings does make that pretty apparent. So that will be something to discuss and look at for the, the rest of the matches that we do have here in summer to see if T1 can kind of pick it up going into playoffs, because now is crunch time. You don't have that much time before we get into playoffs and regionals and worlds and all that fun stuff, as tomorrow it'll be me and Wadid for Sorewan Prince up against Hamra Light, the highlight of the whole.
Oh yeah, that's actually Bittori said that this is the one to look out for, because one of the teams has to win. So a slump has to discontinue. That's how it's going to work out. See what's going to happen, guys. But for now, that is all from us. We'll see you tomorrow for more LCK.
Changed and I am ready to take it on. You told me to be myself and never feel alone. You're all that I want, you're all that I need. If I was ever